Welcome to Arcade Couch, the best place to chill with your friends and get your gaming goodness every Monday at 6 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. I'm Ashley Hobley. Joining me today on the couch is Ciaran.
Hello, just the two of us. No Dylan. Dylan is off hunting the Easter Bunny somewhere. He is trying
he's
to
going to catch that Easter Bunny.
Yeah, he's trying to get it so the whole world switches to lactose-free chocolate eggs. Yeah, it's a real strong point for him.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes sense. If you can't have chocolate and dairy-full chocolate, nobody can.
Nobody can, exactly. Dylan is the Grinch of Easter. Yeah.
There we go.
Yep, there you go.
Finally, what the world needed, an Easter Grinch.
An Easter Grinch.
It's really what all holidays need.
It's like a Grinch.
Grinch equivalent.
Yeah, 100%.
Need a Halloween Grinch.
Look, if we're going to go into theology, if we're going to go into like theology of faith and stuff, technically, like Christianity's Grinch is Satan on Easter, but we're not going to go into that one.
I mean, some would say it's Judas at Easter, but Pontius Pilate.
Yeah. There's a whole option there.
Yeah. The real Grinch was like trying to was telling Mary to get an abortion before Jesus. That's the true story, the true origins of the Grinch. Anyway, let's move on to talking about what we were going to talk about on this week's Arcade Couch. On today's episode, we're talking about the Super Mario Galaxy movie, plans for Lord of the Rings games, and Ciaran is playing Screamer. So let's talk about it off the top. Super Mario movie came out this week. Super Mario Galaxy movie, sorry. It came out this week. Already has made $370 million on the opening weekend, or opening 5 days, because it technically came out on a Wednesday. Ciaran, have you seen the movie?
I have not, no.
Okay.
Surprising, I know, but no.
No, not necessarily surprising. Outside of... No, not surprising.
No.
But yeah, me and Dylan have already talked about it over on Animated Wonders, our new podcast dedicated to all the beautiful animated movies out there. So you can check out our spoiler-filled discussion there. We'll also probably be talking about it on What Do You Want to Watch again this week. But yeah, just reading from Eurogamer, because obviously it came out to a reaction. After playing a teasers and dedicated Nintendo Directs, the Super Mario Galaxy movie finally made its debut yesterday, and so reactions have been mixed. You see, despite critics branding it flat, empty nothingness, and even torturous, the film has certainly made an impression on cinemagoers and just celebrated the best opening day so far this year. In fact, it has already actually broken the record for best ever April Wednesday, raking in a whopping $34 million US domestically. To put that into perspective, it bested the Super Mario Brothers movie, which took in $31.7 million on the opening back in 2023. But back to those reviews, over on Metacritic, the Super Mario Galaxy movie currently has a Metascore of 37, or generally unfavorable. It's now commonplace to compare programmatic stuff like this to AI, but this is almost a second evolutionary step downwards. It looks as if humans using AI have tried to copy something that was originally AI generated, creating a bland, simplistic template that can be sold in all global territories, where it can be dubbed by local voice talent, reads The Guardian's 1-star review. Variety, meanwhile, called the whole thing an eager product-tying mess. It's a different story when it comes to user reviews, though, which sit with a Metacritic score of 7.7, or generally favorable. For fans, an absolute delight. The love for the Mario games that are shown here is great, one review on Metacritic said. It gets the job done with fun action, references, and humor, adds another. Either way, it seems likely there'll be a third animated Mario film arrive in a few years, given that what a commercial success the Super Mario Galaxy movie has been. So the general discourse is there's the people who did not like the movie, and the people who did like the movie. And believe it or not, they don't get along.
Well, whoa, people having differing opinions, not getting along in 2026? Holy!
And it's been interesting to watch. I'll just say it, I didn't enjoy the movie. I think I did enjoy the ride, but it is pretty much devoid of any meaningful character development or story. It is just a series of cutscenes. That's what it feels like.
The thing that not so much worried me, but the thing that I was already like, oh, this doesn't look great, is just the random inclusion of Fox McCloud. As soon as I saw reference to Fox, I was like, oh, so you're no longer kind of keeping yourself in the Super Mario world and that kind of storyline. You're now using this galaxy not only to go into the galaxy game, but also branching out into other things in the Nintendo universe and introducing Fox McCloud. And I saw a clip with Mr. Game and Watch, like as like a reference. So it's like, oh, okay, so this has stopped being a Mario, but like it's gonna become like a Super Smash Bros. Pretty much, where everybody and everything is gonna be in these movies.
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I feel like one of those cameos is kind of earned, or like makes sense with, I guess, kind of makes it, they make it make sense in the story or whatever. But this is a movie completely filled with fan service and seems to be the point of the movie. And a lot of the discussion is, does this movie being filled with fan service make it a good movie? You know, if you love pointing at the screen and going, I understand that reference so many times, if that brings you so much joy, does that make a good movie? And I would say no.
No.
It's not the criteria for a good movie.
I don't think so. Especially when, like, I have read books where books are filled with fan service, where they're referring to pop culture references or references of a certain volume or of a certain type, and you kind of sit there and it immediately takes you out of reading. It immediately removes any immersion into the story, into what's going on, because you're too busy thinking about, oh, what's that referencing? What's this referencing? Oh, I can see this is referencing that. Ha 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 ha. The moment I saw that Fox McCloud was voiced by Glenn Powell, I was like, oh, okay, so Nintendo's just gone ahead and found another, who's the most socially relevant voice actor or person or actor we can find at the moment, and slap him in there.
Don't know if that's 100% true. I believe I've read a story that went around that he actually pitched to Nintendo to make a Star Fox movie, and then they followed up and said, "Oh, we're doing Star Fox."
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Do you have any intention to go and see this in the cinema, or is this going to be a wait till it gets home?
Whenever it appears on whatever streaming platform it appears, I'll check it out. I don't think it's anything revolutionary. It doesn't seem to be, the next big thing in video game movies. So I just hope this doesn't start a trend in more video game movies becoming more focused on fan service. I think, it's sadly a fine line to walk with various video game tie-ins, I think from all kind of reviews and reports I've read, like some people have issues with the Fallout season that came out, with how closely tied into New Vegas it was and how kind of in between. Or I read an article this morning about the Mass Effect TV series or movie script that's being written at the moment, that they've been given the notes to make it less video gamey.
Yes, well, that's the second story I've got prepared for today.
Oh, okay.
Reading again from Amateur Gamer. Amazon have allegedly asked for the TV adaptation of Mass Effect to be rewritten, make it more appealing to non-gamers. This according to the Ankler, which reports that the new head of global TV, Peter Freelander, is asked to read the scripts of all in-development projects before awarding that all-important confirmation green light by Amazon. As noted by IGN, this leaves the drama sci-fi series on the verge of a full order, leaving the production and us in limbo while we await a decision. It's not clear what aspects of the script Freelander things could put off those coming into the franchise for the first time. So I guess I was kind of putting these two stories together because it seems like people at Amazon are like, we should be trying to get as many, like, try to not make it too specific to fans of this property. Whereas Mario is like, I don't think you go into that movie not knowing anything about Mario and have anything close to a good time.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I think whereas some people may be writing that as a negative for Amazon, I actually think it's a positive, because Mass Effect is such a robust franchise and a robust setting. The game itself has a codex that is filled and constantly filling with written pieces of information about the various species and interactions and historical events. And you're not going to have that in the TV series, in like a Mass Effect game, which has 20 to 40 to whatever many hours of gameplay available for you to play in and learn the game and learn the people in it. They're going to have potentially 9 hours tops for if roughly around there to bring people into Mass Effect, to bring people into the universe, and to spawn enough interest and entertainment into watching the next series or getting the next series being made. Because at the end of the day, like with these story ties, you've already got an audience with the people who love the game. The people you love the game aren't necessarily what you need to think about when you're writing it as much. Yes, you need to get things right. You need to get things accurate. You need to kind of make them, but they're watching they're watching it anyway. It's your average Joe that has never played a video game in his life. How do we get them to connect with characters? It's, the changes that were made to the Last of Us series. Like, how do we get people to buy into this franchise quickly? And how do we get to buy in and watch this? Last of Us season 1 chose to dedicate an entire episode to 2 characters and a relationship that didn't really happen in the video game, but it's one of the most beloved things in video game media in recent time. I think it makes sense for them not to want to turn a little bit away from the video game side of things, and not to completely disregard it. I can't remember what the recent thing was where somebody never played the game, where they didn't play the game and they didn't touch it. I can't remember what video game franchise.
It might have been the guy working on the God of War games.
That could be it.
Series
right?
at the moment,
yeah, it could be it. Yeah. Which I don't agree with that. I think you should still have a good understanding and knowledge of the source material. It's like saying if Peter Jackson went and made Lord of the Rings without reading Lord of the Rings. That doesn't fucking work.
I mean, he read the script that's attached to... Well, I mean, he wrote the script in that example, but you know what I mean.
But that's the thing. The person writing the script doesn't have any reference point or any understanding of the foundation material. It's no longer about the foundation material.
Yeah, that's true. Don't know how you adapt things. So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. Like, one, is this Mario movie going to make the same amount of money as the first one did? Is it going to have a drop off post next week? Probably not, sadly, because I don't think a lot of people went to see it. There's probably still people who haven't seen it yet. I think we'll go second week.
And the thing is, it's school holidays. It's it's a kids.
Well, it is here. I don't know in other places.
Well, yeah, I don't know either, but yeah, it feels like it's, sadly with this kind of thing, it's almost like it snowballs, and I don't think it's going to do poorly.
I think, yeah, it's probably going to do well. I feel like it will do well internationally because there is so little dialogue in the movie that everybody's going to be able to understand the film because it's so simplistic. Yes. Wow. And I'm the one who was slightly nicer on the show. Yeah, so listen to our other discussions and let us know your thoughts. Moving on, there's a couple of interesting stories about the Lord of the Rings property with a couple of potential games coming down the pike. Reading both these stories from Inside Gaming, which both came out like a couple of days apart last week. Reading first, Warhorse Studios has been busy capitalizing on the success of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 in the last 12 months. And the time will come for the studio to move on. Suggestions are that it already has, and the developer of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is potentially working on a new Lord of the Rings game. Inside Gaming brought you an exclusive story late in 2025 that a new Lord of the Rings game was in development after recent underwhelming releases under the banner Tales of the Shire. Gollum, there's a hope that a new release can redeem the Lord of the Rings name. There might be no one better suited for the job than Kingdom Come developer Warhorse Studios. Here's what we know so far. A new Lord of the Rings game is in development. Close to $100 million is being funded by the Abu Dhabi Investment Office, and it is a third-person action game in a similar vein to Hogwarts Legacy. Now, according to someone in a Reddit post, Reset Era post, Ryzard Janowski, a 27-year inside veteran who was a project lead for The Witcher, has spoken on Tolkien podcast and claimed that it is in fact Warhorse Studios working on the Lord of the Rings game. He said a couple of months ago, Inside Gamer made a report about the investing into a new open world Lord of the Rings game worked on by one of the Embracer Game Group studios, codenamed Revenge Studios. A few days later, there was a podcast where a Polish industry veteran revealed that he had heard from a credible source the studio working on that game is in fact Warhorse Studios, makers of Kingdom Come Deliverance, and also owned by Embracer. Apparently, we heard it a couple of months ago and didn't believe it. There have been more whispers about it recently. Ciaran, you're a fan of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. What are your thoughts on them tackling Lord of the Rings?
Did I just hear that they speculate that it's a third-person action game?
Yes.
That disappoints me a little bit. Because when you first read this, when you first hear this, my mind immediately goes, make Kingdom Come, but set in the Middle Earth.
Mm.
Don't directly tie it into any of the actual like main story or the main events of Lord of the Rings, just have it set in Middle Earth, because Middle Earth is so fantastic for them because it's not that far away from the medieval setting that they had for Kingdom Come. It's minimal to low magic inclusion, so it's not like they're going to all of a sudden have to turn their gameplay into Oblivion. It would be so like just using that setting and then being able to write their own stories and write their own events in that setting. Fantastic, amazing, and they can do it. Kingdom Come, both Kingdom Come and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 are masterpieces. To then be like, oh, okay, they're not going to do their bread and butter. They're going to do something a bit different. You're like, oh, I kind of wish they did do their bread and butter, you know? I wish they did do, because there's nothing wrong with their bread and butter. Just setting it in a different setting. Of course, we don't want it to be called Kingdom Come Middle Earth or anything like that. We don't want that kind of thing. But have it be first person. Have it be a more grittier sim-like game where it is that kind of more complex in systems. I don't know if they are thinking that they need to pull themselves back because it's Lord of the Rings. It needs to be more open to more people to be able to get invested and play, like Hogwarts Legacy was. But fuck it, like just let them have free reign over it. Let them make what they want to make with it, doing what they do so well.
Interesting you say that, because another story came out a couple of days later, also from Inside Gaming. They said recently claims surfaced regarding Kingdom Come Deliverance developer Warhorse, who is working on Lord of the Rings game. That is the one that was described. While sources say it's possible they're also working on one, they aren't the studio working on this specific game. According to those close to the game's development, Tomb Raider developer Crystal Dynamics is working on the upcoming Lord of the Rings game. This work is alongside what's being done on the new Tomb Raider Legacy Atlantis and Tomb Raider Catalyst titles. When asked for comment on both what Workhorse was working on and Crystal Dynamics developed game, Embracer reiterated that it does not comment on rumors and speculation. Crystal Dynamics also declined comments. As mentioned, the game being developed by Crystal Dynamics has received funding from the ADIO of roughly $100 million. The game has been in development for some time, but when asked regarding a release timeline, Inside Game was told it's still a bit away. So the potential is Workhorse is making Kingdom Come Middle Earth, but then Crystal Dynamics is making the third-person action Lord of the Rings game. Thoughts? That seems like a better fit.
That seems like a better fit, and that seems like it makes more sense. It felt weird to be all of a sudden like they're going to play like a third-person action game. I don't know how I feel about the Crystal Dynamics part of it. Like, I feel like I haven't played a game of theirs properly in
Listen,
forever.
you play as Legolas, bow and arrow, just like Tomb Raider, same thing.
They just make Uncharted Tomb Raider Middle Earth? Fuck yeah, now.
Yeah, that's what we're at now. You just put skins over the same games, right?
Skins over the same games. I think I think it makes sense. I think it's Lord of the Rings deserves more properties. I don't want to say don't deserve more. Lord of the Rings, I think, has a very interesting IP to it, considering it is open. Like, it is open for it to be used. I love Lord of the Rings. I love the setting. I love Middle Earth. I don't want things that are connected to the story of that Tolkien read and wrote, because I don't think that works very well, because nobody is going to live up to it. Like, there's the movie that's being developed at the moment, The Hunt for Gollum, and I am so against that, because I'm like, I don't want anything more. I don't those three movies. The Lord of the Rings trilogy is so perfect. It's so good, both the movies and the books. It doesn't need more. I was the person crying out when the Hobbits were being released, and the Hobbits got announced that they were being stretched into 3 movies, saying, "Why the fuck? I adore the Hobbit. Why?" I can understand maybe 2 movies pushing it. 3 movies where all of a sudden there is like a love angle going on with an elf and a dwarf man who's not really a dwarf because he's kind of hot. He's like
dwarfist.
No.
Dwarfs can be hot.
No. He's just he was a little bit too hot. All right. If you were going to do an elf and dwarf romance, I needed the dwarf to look like Gimli. Okay. Or any of the other dwarfs that were all in that movie. But anyway, getting carried away. So I hope these studios are working on original titles that step away from it. I think Shadow of Mordor did a perfect job of kind of nimbly kind of walking the line very closely of, hey, we're referring to events that happened in Lord of the Rings, and we're referring to things that have happened in the grander scale of Lord of the Rings. But at the same time, it's its own thing. It doesn't require any deep connection to the actual adventure of Lord of the Rings. So I just hope that's the case. I even loved there was a Lord of the Rings game on Xbox 360, maybe PS2, called War for the North or War of the North, and it was like this turn-based Lord of the Rings game. Fucking fantastic. It happened like alongside of the Lord of the Rings adventure, but it was completely separate. It had its own thing. It was really, really interesting and really good to play. If we do more like that, more original stories, more things that don't feel the need to link into Gandalf or link into Sauron or link into, I'd really like things from the world post the War for the Ring. Like, I'd really love it post that happening, post Frodo leaving, post Gandalf leaving, and what does Middle-earth look like? Because I think that is a playground that is free to be played with and free to be explored.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because Middle-earth has like a crazy video game lineage. Like, there were a ton of video games in the early days. Obviously, then there's a bunch of video game tie-ins with all the movies, and then they've done a whole bunch of different, almost every single genre you can think of. There's a Lord of the Rings tie-in. There's a Lord of the Rings game in that genre. So it's not surprising that they kind of want to continue to put more of that stuff out. I think there is probably a little bit of a resurgence in Lord of the Rings given the TV show, given the push for new movies. It's kind of this evergreen property, I think, that seems to constantly be finding new fans, or like even the fans they have are like diehard. Very much, there's a higher percentage than usual of diehard Lord of the Rings fans who will consume pretty much anything to do with the property. Yeah, I mean, either studio making a game, this sounds cool. Like, I'm happy for them to try and tackle anything. I think like going away from like what we've seen a lot of in other games and films, like, makes sense, like, just for expanding the universe and that kind of stuff. I think it's not surprising that in both articles they bring up Hogwarts Legacy as a thing that they want to try and replicate, which is something that is in the same world but is completely separate to the main
completely separate.
source material.
It is in a time period that we don't really have that much information about. It's too early or too different a time period for anybody. Realistically, there's a couple characters, but like majority of characters that we know from Harry Potter to be involved in any way whatsoever.
Yeah, so yeah, both those studios sound like they'll do a good job. It just seems like Crystal Dynamics is maybe stretching themselves pretty thin, considering
I'd be interested. Yeah,
they've got the Tomb Raiders game. They were meant to be working on the Perfect Dark game,
Yeah.
And now this, like, wow, that's a lot. But yeah, I wouldn't even be opposed.
It'd be interesting to know.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting to know how far through development anything is for them, because clearly, if anything, you would think this would be the least developed. You'd have the Tomb Raider, that is the Tomb Raider 1 remake, is pretty much at the end of its development, and the new Tomb Raider game has to be probably in its last third of development. You would expect.
I mean, I don't think they would have announced both of them at the same time if they weren't like reasonably far along. So
yes, 100%.
Still, I suspect, still pretty early days on this, but yeah, it's crazy to see all of them. All the projects they've currently got down the pike. I wouldn't be opposed to it just being Kingdom Come Middle-earth, We've seen other properties that just like stick the franchise name on top of the known franchise. Like, usually it's like a little bit more like mobile games and that kind of thing. But like, I mean, well, what's the real-time strategy game that's always got a different...
War for Middle-earth?
No, like, no. Total War. That's it. That's what I'm thinking of.
Total War. Sorry, yeah, Total War. Sorry, apologies.
That one. Yep. Just, do something like that.
Well, they did that.
I mean, all you need to do is put like creatures in there. No, but like do that for Kingdom Come. Just put the skins. That's all you need to do. And like, I guess you need. I don't think there's ogres in that. There's no mythical creatures in Kingdom Come.
No,
it's just
It's all medieval. Kingdom Come is actual medieval, like real historical.
Yeah. So you just need to have some short designs and tall designs.
No, I think they could do it. I think it'd be
Ugly designs.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Some interesting Xbox announcements this week. We now know when the Xbox Game Showcase for this year will be taking place, reading from Press Start. Although it feels as though we're receiving news a little earlier than usual, Xbox has gone ahead and announced the official date for their annual Xbox Game Showcase, which has become standard as a follow-up direct, has become standard, has a follow-up direct dedicated to a high-profile game coming out within the year. We've seen them for Starfield, Call of Duty, Black Ops, Cold War, The Outer Worlds 2, and now Gears of War E-Day will be the focus of a special feature that will take place after the regular showcase concludes. Xbox's approach to these directs all but cements their plans to release the Gears of War prequel this year after showing A Kiln, Fable, Forza Horizon 6, and the Beast of Reincarnation at the developer direct back in January. So the showcase will take place on Monday, June 8th at 3 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time here in Australia.
3 a.m. Let's go.
Ciaran, how do you feel about them getting a deep dive into Gears of War E-Day?
I think it's good. I think it's interesting to go be like deep diving into E-Day, and it's like you look at the rest of their catalog for this year, and you're like, "Fuck, guys, aren't you gonna?" Guys, come, what? Like we're jumping to E-Day talk already? Like, okay, yeah, I think. Look, we're already on the precipice, or we're still kind of feels very much holding bated breath of. We said leading into this year, at the start of this year, like this should be Xbox's year. This should be an absolutely insane year for video games, an insane year for Xbox. But then beyond that, you go, okay, then and then it seems to be that they're prepared to follow it up. And I guess seeing that as E-Day, seeing it as Gears, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be different. It's finding a different take on the Gears of War, where it's like, okay, maybe they're not so comfortable with where the franchise was heading. Maybe they need to give themselves some time to pull some more people back into the property. Let's go to a historical event. Let's go to a prequel. Let's bring back, Dom into the game. Let's have it be what everybody loved the original trilogy being. So I'm excited to see what they do. I'm excited to see how they progress it, because I think Gears of War as a gameplay style set a precedent at the time for its time period of cover shooting, of being these big, heavy, grimy characters that are running into cover, shooting over the top of it, moving into the next cover. That gameplay doesn't work anymore. That gameplay feels dated nowadays. So it'll be interesting to see how they bring the Gears of War aesthetic and the Gears of War story into a 2026 setting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a Gears of War person, but it feels like one of their franchises that they really need to. They can rely on, but like they need to, I don't know, recapture interest in. I don't jog my memory. It was 5 super received well, or
no? 5 was a good game. It was just caught in itself, caught in this weird middle point where it didn't know what the fuck it wanted to do. Felt like it was caught between its new storyline and its old storyline. And also at the same time, it was at a weird time in its life where Xbox was in that weird zone of what the fuck are we doing with ourselves? What is our studios doing? Yeah.
I guess my question is it interesting that what can we read into them having a deep dive for Gears of War E-Day over Fable, which we know is also coming in the second half of 2026?
It's a bad thing. It is a bad look for Fable. Gears of War gets a release date first. I'd almost be worried if Gears gets a release date first in some ways. I would hope.
I'm sure we're going to see Fable in their actual showcase.
No. But so if in that showcase Fable doesn't get a date, I'm very worried for my fantasy critic, because I don't think that game. I think that game easily slips into 2027. I think it needs a release date at that showcase to set itself up to actually, to lay fears and to actually, because I think if it doesn't get a date there, that means Xbox and the studio is still a bit concerned about how ready it is, and they're probably going to want a bit more time.
Yeah. I feel like they'll show something. I don't know.
It'll definitely be shown.
Maybe because we've already seen a lot of Fable, kind of already. Like they've shown it. They had the developer direct earlier this year. It's been teased over several places. E-Day has only been shown the reveal trailer, I believe, is the only time we've seen that.
Yeah.
So I guess to try and dive in and explain what makes this more different to everything else, I guess that makes sense. But yeah, I guess maybe they've got a bit more of a media showing it of Fable in the actual showcase itself. So hopefully we don't have to worry about that. Do you think we see the new CEO of Xbox in this showcase?
I think so. I think we have to.
Talk?
I think we have
head?
to.
Yeah.
I think we have to. I think Phil Spencer was such a prevalent member of Xbox's showcases. We have to see something from this new version of Xbox has to be truly represented here. And I don't think it can be hey, we'll just let our studios talk. No, it has to be somebody from that new age, new era of Xbox talking to everybody. Because behind the scenes, all we're hearing now is they are figuring out how the fuck they get themselves back into consoles and figuring out how to undo.
We're stopping this. It's an Xbox thing.
Yeah, they're putting an end to this. Everything's an Xbox thing was apparently the biggest marketing disaster ever for Xbox, and they need to work on what they need to reinvent themselves and re-pull themselves back into what they're doing. So it's you sitting there watching and going, okay, you need to hit the ground running then at this showcase. You need to present a unified front because it feels like Xbox is very segmented at the moment because of that departure and the very quick departure. So provide the unified front, provide a strong, if they can make a strong presentation, if they can meet every game that they've announced coming out this year, can come out this year, if they can do that, then it's going to be a bright future for Xbox.
Yeah. I fully expect Asher Sharma to show up in the showcase, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see more, if like time-wise, we see more of Matt Booty, seeing as he is the one more focused on first-party studios. Interesting question I just thought. When do you think we'll actually hear from Phil Spencer? Like an exit interview?
I think in a couple of years. It depends. It depends on how fat the NDA. It depends on the fat NDA that Microsoft has signed him to.
But it's kind of surprising. He hasn't shown up on some sort of podcast at this point.
If we're going to be for reference...
And you're more than welcome, Phil, if you're listening.
Jeff Kaplan has left. Jeff Kaplan finished at Blizzard over maybe 2, 3, maybe even 4 years ago now. And his interview has only just happened about everything from his point of view of what went wrong with Overwatch and the problems with Overwatch. So if we see it before 2030, I would be impressed.
I know Shuhei retired and he was on podcasts like the next day. Although he's a different personality.
Everything was positive.
And PlayStation was successful. All right. Is there anything else you expect to be at that showcase or like desperately want to see there?
I just think it's more continuing to lay the groundwork of whatever's next. And also maybe rebuilding Game Pass a little bit. They've already said they want to look at cheaper tiers of Game Pass. I think the pricing of Game Pass has become such an issue across the world in terms of what people expect from that service. It would be nice to see them reevaluate Game Pass, reevaluate what they want it to be as a service, and whether they streamline it, I don't know, but I'd really like them to get just what is the roadmap for the future of Xbox and the future of Microsoft and video games.
In other Xbox news, Xbox FanFest is officially set to tour globally. And there is one event in Australia in Sydney. The event is designed to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the console and its many enduring games. The first leg of the FanFest will kick off in Los Angeles in June, tying in with the showcase, with subsequent shows bringing the showcase to Cologne, London, Mexico City, Toronto, and Tokyo. In celebration of the 25th anniversary, FanFest will go on tour so that we can share this very special year alongside you, the players, who have helped shape our history every step of the way and will continue to shape the next 25 years. The Xbox team said, as shared, each in-person event will bring the worlds of Xbox to life with opportunities for players to connect with one another. They will also be tailored towards regional audiences with unique activations and activities designed to celebrate the community and the ways they engage with gaming and the people that make it feel special. For now, the dates for Xbox FanFest have not been announced, but a new Xbox FanFest website has launched and will offer further details as they shape up. While we don't know what to expect yet, it's still worth noting FanFest has been around for a while, with past shows tied to Gamescom's various showcasing various games, as well as offering photo and networking opportunities. In 2025, the show included Ninja Gaiden 4 battles on the big screen, comprising 10-foot grounded plush on photo and Fallout 76 Fishing Zone.
Whoa.
Given it's the 25th anniversary of Xbox, we expect the touring show will aim to go bigger and better than what's come before. Ciaran, does this sound interesting to you? And would you travel to Sydney or
no
Xbox FanFest?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a nice thing. It's the same as Bethesda's a couple of years ago at PAX when Bethesda had that bar with all of the different kind of setups for the different games, or to a lesser to the Nintendo event last year. It's not for me personally.
Close to that.
Yeah.
Except you'll have to buy tickets. I don't think it'll be free.
No. Yeah, I don't think, or I don't quite think and believe that that it's anything too special or important to go to be perfectly honest. Unless you are like a diehard, super duper Xbox is life fan.
Or you're in Sydney. That would make it significantly easier.
Yes, 100%.
I mean, it's cool. I know, if you're going to do 25th anniversary celebration stuff, like this makes sense. Like have in-person events, have cool activations and that kind of thing. Like, I get it's cool. It's coming to Australia. We'll wait and see until we get more information. If there's actually going to be games on the ground that we can't play anywhere else or can play first, that would be more of an incentive than just, look, we're going to have a Halo exhibit.
If they, the thing that would tempt me would be like, hey, you can play Fable. And I'd be like, all right, I'm there.
All right.
Like playing Fable would be pretty would be up there.
So, all right, let's see. What else do we have this week? All right, this was an interesting little piece from this week. Reading from Polygon. Slapstick co-op climbing game Peak seemingly came out of nowhere last year to be a smash hit, selling over 10 million copies since June 2025. Not half bad for something that started as a game jam from the ashes of a cancelled project. Co-developers Aggro Crab and Landfall have continually updated the game since, with the latest being Tuesday's Play It Your Way update that added custom runs, mini runs, chill campfires, and more. Despite those updates, a portion of Peak's player base simply hasn't had its hunger satisfied. You're all mad at Landfall for not releasing a game. I'm mad at Landfall for their lazy dev cycle for Peak, when they could be doing so much more with it, considering they've ended development of it this year, one ex-user wrote. In response to a discussion where fans expressed disappointment that Landfall hasn't yet announced a new game for 2026. Peak has had so many updates, Landfall wrote back on X. Neither us or Aggro Crab are live service studios. Any update is a bonus, not a right. The ex-user then asked for an update that makes sense, like more customization or runs or easier modding. Landfall replied that full customization is a big ask, that has been in touch with the modding community about what modders want in the game. If there are any specific suggestions, we'd love to hear it. Ciaran, are video game fans nowadays just so entitled? Back in my day, so. When a game came out, it was whatever was on that disc or cartridge was the game. Now you just want updates every fucking week.
It's weird to, especially for a game like Peak, where Peak is, and I've literally just played Peak for the first time a week ago. But from an outside perspective on Peak, Peak is so well updated. They are, and it's so funny. Even though I didn't play Peak, I would watch the developer updates for Peak because they would appear in my Instagram reels because they were so well presented and so interesting and so cute and so funny and so one of a kind. Like it was so well done. So to go beyond that and to see that there is players upset with the developers of Peak of not being there and not enough is, like, to be perfectly honest, fucking wild in so many ways. Like it just feels like, and it does feel that way in kind of 2026 society and culture. People are just not happy with where they're getting stuff fairly, and they're just looking for something to be upset with. And even in terms of great studios and great fan bases, they're still just finding reasons to be upset.
Yeah, this was a story that just kind of irked me because they've given so much for a game that's what, $12, something like that. Not a lot. It's definitely not a full price game.
No.
And while I'm sure it's been very profitable for them, like they've still, I assume working on whatever they're working on next, and that's also why people are upset then because they haven't announced what they're working on yet on next, which is also heavily entitled.
Like why do you need to announce what's the next one? You've had Peak come out and be such an unexpected success that you're still supporting, you're still developing. Yeah, no, it should just be 100% just enjoy the game, enjoy it while you've got them wait.
Yeah, fans are just weird. That's all it comes back down to, you know. We've had it so good for so long, you know. You expect everyone to be act like a AAA studio. So. All right, final disappointing story for this week. Eidos Montreal is laying off over 100 people in a round of mass layoffs. The latest set marks the fourth round of layoffs at the studio since March 2025. In a LinkedIn post on Monday, the company announced a reduction in workforce that affects 124 Eidos Montreal employees. These layoffs, they say, are a result of changing project needs and impacts across production and support teams. We are deeply grateful to the team members impacted. This decision is not a reflection of the talent, dedication, or performance. Supporting those impacted with care and respect remains our priority, while ensuing continuity for teams moving forward. Later on, it was revealed that, along with all it appears the reason behind the layoffs is that yesterday, Eidos Montreal, the layoffs were due to the cancellation of Wildlands, a game that had been in development since 2019. First reported by Insider Gaming in December, the project was known as P11 as it was the 11th project in development at the studio. According to sources, the game had been struggling for years with 4 different game engines used throughout development, narrative direction conflicts, and a project that had exploded to several $100 million. The game's spiraling budget resulted in several projects at the studio being cancelled, including a new Deus Ex game in January 2024. Original Game Center Insider Gaming on the condition that it would not go public shows that Wildlands was an open-world third-person action-adventure game in which players would take control of a character named River. River was part of a group of teenagers called Spirit Bounds who would ward off bad spirits with their magical staffs and ride mythical creatures. River's companion was a giant moose-looking animal called Red Heart, which players could ride to navigate around the map more quickly. As mentioned in a separate article earlier this year, the game looked awfully similar to a cancelled survival game Wild by Wild Sheet Studios. So much so, in fact, that I thought they were the same identical projects. However, Wild is believed to be entirely shelved. What's bizarre about Wildlands cancellation is that, according to multiple sources, the game was almost complete. It was recently past key milestones and was in the debugging phase with a tentative release date planned for later this year. However, for whatever reason, Embracer probably went cold on the project and felt like any future investment wouldn't be recouped. That's why it took Embracer this long, though it remains to be seen. But yeah, incredibly tragic story.
Aren't you at some point, if they're that far into fucking development, aren't you at the point where it's like,
isn't any recoup of money better than no recoup of money?
Yeah, like, aren't you at that point you just go, fuck it, put it out and just get what we
Cross
get
your fingers.
for it. Cross your fingers, it might be a bigger, like
maybe it comes together in the last month.
Like, what is the problem? Unless there's been like some really bad internal feedback, maybe that's it. But fuck Embracer is, and it's the same with so much that is surrounding like Abu Dhabi and those regions, investments and everything is just the sheer amount of money that they throw around at things. They don't really have to dedicate themselves to anything or be loyal and supportive to anything. They can drop things at a drop of a hat and that is it. That really fucking sucks. Just in general, just really sucks.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's bad news. I do remember Wilds. I think it was very much, I don't know if it's exactly the same, but I remember it being like what's the word? Not warlock. What's the nature class in D&D?
Druids.
Yeah, it was like a druid game from memory. Mm-hmm. You could like shapeshift and that kind of stuff with the different animals. Mm-hmm. So it sounds similar-esque. But yeah, kind of crazy that 7 years working on it. I doubt it was the entire Eidos Montreal team, but like to also hear that a Deus Ex project was like dropped, even though I'm sure that's like one of their big franchises, and like you could have got that would have sold, even if it wasn't as good as what they've put out in the past and that kind of stuff. So they're very weird with their IPs over there at Embracer.
Yes,
what they're doing. So,
yep, 100%.
Yeah, very disappointing. Another terrible story of mass layoffs. So this economy, pretty terrible.
In this economy.
All right, Ciaran, talk to me about the game you've been playing, Screamer.
Have you seen Screamer? Have you seen much about it?
Not really.
Not really. Did you ever, right, when you were a kid growing up, did you ever, well, you were fucking 10 years on me, so you were a teenager growing up when I was watching this. Yeah. Did you ever see like say Legend of the Dragon Rider? Oh, that's probably the best one for me is Legend of the Dragon Rider. It was like these after school cartoons, but they were like more of a 3D generated graphics where pretty much it was like a Western anime, pretty much. No, he's shaking his head. If you've tweet at me if you remember Legend of the Dragon Rider, because it was a really good show. But so Screamer is a racing game that is entirely built around a animated series pretty much at the same time. All the cutscenes are developed and put in like it is a TV show or an anime that happen in between each race, as well as, of course, your traditional, almost graphic novel-esque cutscenes where people are coming in and out and there's traffic dialogue and voice acting. Screamer is a tournament in this world that is set for like $1 billion, and there is, I can't remember the exact number of teams at the minute because it's still growing where I'm playing it in the game, but teams of 3 compete in this tournament to win. And the game is actually set so you play as every single member of all teams of 3 throughout the campaign. So you get everybody's stories happening at once. There's no real kind of main character in terms of these. There's probably like a main group, the Green Reapers, but the rest, like you play as the others, and it hops you around and you get more of their story and how they're involved and what they're doing in the world. And then interjected in between these cutscenes, these episodes, is races for you to do with a really interesting dynamic drift system where like it's all recommended to be played with a controller. Drifting is actually done based off the right analog stick as you're driving. You don't kind of brake and drift like you do in like a Mario Kart or something. You kind of turn with the left and right still, but then also left and right on your right stick will actually make your car go into a drift at the same time. And that on top of you building up boosts through either quick shifting. So it's an automatic car, but the moment it goes to the rev limiter where it's about to change, if you hit the left bumper or L1, it'll quickly change over, give you a small boost, and then build up larger boosts. And then you're throughout the races building up boosts through either slipstreaming people or tight racing or maintaining high speeds and high gears. The game has this overall, anime aesthetic and anime characters. It's really interesting fact is all of the voice actors are actual nationality specific to their character. So there are characters that speak in French, there are characters that speak in German, and they use their native language. In the world, it's actually set that it is a cyberpunk-like world where everybody has a chip in their head that automatically translates what everybody is saying. So every language can be understood. So voice actors are actually speaking in their native tongues, and then of course you're having to read subtitles along with it at the same time. It is a really fun, really fresh kind of that street racer style, just anime and TV show at the same time as being able to play a very fun, interesting racer where you get to play as all these different characters with all of these different cars and different styles of cars, whole load of customization to them with different body kits you're unlocking, different color styles that you can mix and match and change up yourself. I think it's fantastic. It's a full price game. I think I paid like $89 for it on Steam, but I'm absolutely loving it. It is a fantastic game. I was actually looking up who the developer was because I have not actually seen it. So give me
Milestone.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. So it's something that's just really fun. It's great to kind of throw back to that kind of after school special TV shows. Yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot. It's a lot of fun. So if you're missing a racing game and before Horizon comes out, like I think it's definitely something to grab, and you can race through the levels and sit back and enjoy some really great cutscenes and interesting characters.
Online multiplayer in that?
I believe so. Yes, there is.
Yeah, that makes it would be a hell of a thing if it didn't.
If it just didn't have multiplayer,
yeah. Yeah. Currently sitting at a 79 on OpenCritic. So I think the twin stick thing is like hit or miss thing for some people.
Yes, 100%. Yep.
So yeah. All right, check that out. Anything else you want to talk about this week? Cover everything?
No, I didn't. I wasn't here last week, and I can't remember if I listened to you guys bring it up. But like, rest in peace, Black Flag remaster. You will be missed. I don't know. Wait, maybe that was an April Fool's? Maybe I got caught by an April Fool's on this one. I can't remember what day I saw this. Now I thought this was longer than last week. Wait, let me double check this. Maybe everybody.
No, as far as I.
No, I think it's. I got it. It's an April Fool's.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Really rough April Fools this week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see the IGN one where they released apparently PlayStation's releasing an AI controller that will, play the game for you?
Yep.
But then my one was microtransactions and shit.
I was extremely done with April Fools when I opened up, like literally early in the morning when I opened up, and Will Day, the staff player for Hawthorn Football Club, who's been on and off injured for the better part of 2 years, where a report was like, yeah, he's injured again. And I was like, what the and I went, wait, it's fucking April Fools. I'm done already. I can't do this.
That's a mean one. Why would you?
I was like, my emotions can't take that. Yeah, I was like, my emotions can't take this. Like, no.
That's not fun at all. All right. Let us know what you thought of anything we talked about on today's show by going to explosionnetwork.com/follow and find us on our social media places to let us know. If you want to help us out here at Arcade Couch, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Podchaser. Leave us 5 stars and can leave 5 stars or just help you about the show. And if you want to help us out at Explosion Network with all our other news, reviews, podcasts, including the aforementioned Animated Wonders, which we are doing. We talked about the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Or go back and listen to Lord of the Rings Extended, where me and Ciaran and Killen all talked about all the Lord of the Rings movies. If you're like listening to our discussion, like, watch those movies again. Go listen to those. Go to explosionnetwork.com/support. Help us out with all that kind of stuff. Thank you very much for listening. We'll be back next week, same time, same couch. Goodbye.